But imagine getting the benefits of these advanced peptides without a single needle. And Joseph, I'm so glad that you're here because this is something that people need to know about. That you need to know what's accessible, what you can utilize, what you can have. Cheers, man. Here we go. I think that's really where this goes, man, is not just eliminating like that fear of needles and kind of getting that away, but the understanding that we can literally have like BPC in our pocket.
You're able to get that absorption, typically about 70 to 80% compared to, let's say, if you take a capsule where it's like 10 to 20%.
Right.
So it's a thing because now with these sprays able to make and produce in large format, we're able to bring down the cost for the masses.
And it is a possibility to be able to have something that is revolutionizing the world of the peptide industry when it comes to therapeutic. Welcome back to the Peptide Pulse. I am Dr. Adam Boonder, and this is where precision meets power and power meets potential. I'm the peptide researcher, and today, this episode, I've been waiting and prepping for a very long time. I'm extremely excited because truly what we're going to be talking about today is an innovation in the world of peptides. You know, we're not just talking about another injectable or just another type of peptide. We're talking about the application of peptides and how that's going to actually transform this industry. And, you know, again, we've talked about this in other episodes, but imagine getting the benefits of these advanced peptides without a single needle. You heard me right, not even a needle. And if you understand therapeutic peptides, that's like pretty much unheard of. And so I am extremely honored and excited to have Joseph Ilardi here with me. This man, inside of that beautiful bald head of his, I know, we're here, right here. There's a genius, man. This is incredible. I'm so excited because you have, through biotechnology innovation, have created a nano-encapsulation technology that will actually, and we have them sitting here. You brought some samples for us that
They're prototypes.
they're prototypes, but that we can now have peptides that are shelf stable, room temperature, and are just as effective as those injectables and, well, quite just accessible. So I'd love for you to just share a little about who you are. How did you come about thinking of this?
Yeah, so again, my name's Joseph Ilardi. Thank you, to Dr. Anna, for having me on here. It's an absolute pleasure, and I get to speak with a nice audience here today. My background, so I'm a supermolecular biochemist, and I specialize in things from formulation, delivery systems to organic and synthetic synthesis, and really overall, I really in the space from either from nutraceuticals, cannabis, biologics, pretty much really around the functional medicine area. To me, regenerative medicine and creating systems for allowing people to be able to get the maximum benefit, out of some of these emerging products, and really just kind of get the maximum either mileage or making them just more efficient for people, and not just efficiency where convenience, but also the product overall. And how I got into this is I have I'm a beverage company, and my active is also in a similar type of technology. It's an encapsulated delivery system. And at one time I was experimenting with it. I was like, well, how can I make trump what I already made? I want to make this even better. And I created another system, and it performed, but it didn't perform to exactly what I was hoping to. But then I had this kind of epiphany moment. I'm like, wait a minute, I can apply this to peptides.
Yeah.
In fact, I can actually apply this to other type of solids, or whether it be, amino acids, whether they be, other chemicals or compounds, and have it work, a similar way. And I started to test this. I have I partnered with an HRT clinic, and just to kind of play around with it.
And
And
just for the listeners, HRT is hormone replacement therapy, so which a lot of people need.
yeah,
Works really well.
yes, and the first thing we played with was a GLP-1, known as semaglutide. Helps with things for like weight loss and insulin sensitivity, metabolism, and people having the shots, and along with that comes with a lot of side effects that people were noticing. Could be the fatigue, nausea, constipation, and I knew the theory behind this. I'm like, well, if I could create something that's gets into the bloodstream quickly and efficiently and doesn't linger there for a week, we could potentially avoid some of these issues that people are having with taking some of these drugs. And after the first, couple attempts, I created a stable product, and people at the clinic and some patients were testing it and like, oh my God, this is better than the shot. And I don't have to sit there and and carry the needles with me and keep a vial in the fridge, because otherwise, those of you that might not know, but peptides, or even like these GLP products that are branded, they have to be kept cold, because if you leave them out for a while, they go bad and become ineffective. So, this product ultimately allowed me to solve a number of issues at one time.
Yeah, which we go into those issues specifically, and we were like, I mean, I did some background research because I think this really is the future of where peptide therapy is going in peptide therapeutics. I mean, 67% of the population are afraid of needles.
Mhm.
67%. And then even of those that aren't, they're doing it because that's the only option that they have. And you actually made a comment when you were explaining, well, first of all, when you said you were a super molecular bio, yeah, I was like, okay, mind blown here. But the other part is said you wanted to make something that was more effective. And I think that's a key thing that we talk about here, and the effectiveness. It's not just about a different mode of application. It's needleless. It does have efficacy, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But when you say more effective, like what do you mean by that? What was your thought process when you're like, oh, I just want something more effective, not just more effective in a delivery system, but
But so
more.
yeah, so think about there's a couple ways we look at efficacy. One being the efficiency of use is
Mhm.
one. So, if people are able to consume the product multiple times a day without having to pull out the needles,
Yeah,
okay, pulling out the vials and going through this whole invasive process,
yeah,
that's one. The other area is, they now we could go into bioavailability in a little bit, but ultimately, we're seeing when you have a quicker onset,
mm,
okay, and you have a quicker release. And when we say about the efficiencies, it's going to work quicker and reducing less to if no side effects. And if you're able to consume more of the product more frequently, you're getting more receptor binding activity with least strain on the body.
wow,
In wellness, every second counts. With Unify messaging, clinics connect with new leads instantly, turning inquiries into appointments faster than ever. Quick responses mean more patients and stronger growth. See how AI-powered speed-to-lead capabilities are helping wellness clinics thrive with Unify messaging. Visit us at unify360.com.
so again, it's like smaller amounts over time. But before we go into more of that, because I geek out about the science, I really geek out. So I want to geek out a little bit on, like, for somebody that's listening who's never heard of nano-encapsulation technology or any of this, like, explain what is nano-encapsulation? How does that work? And actually, because I mean, we're sitting in front of us here. We have a couple sprays. There are other peptides that are utilized in spray application for nasal application. Now, not necessarily sublingual or under the tongue, because sublingual's an under the tongue spray. But what is it? If they've never heard of nano-encapsulation, explain that and what makes that so important. And if again, I love metaphors, I love stories, but like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I got it.
hear that.
So think of nano encapsulation as what it is. It's encapsulating the payload. And when the payload, whether it be active of a GLP-1 or BPC or anything else, imagine the encapsulation is a treasure chest. And inside this treasure chest is the gold, the bounty. Okay. And these are, imagine, very, very small treasure chests that are able to get into the bloodstream via the mucosal membrane. Whether you're going to get that through your mouth, meaning it's like that area between the tissues going into your bloodstream, and then you have also in the nasal passageways. And so either system, and it depends on which receptor we're trying to go to, and we could go that more on. But these treasure chests, they after they dissolve and basically they hit the surface, there's also a mucosal adhesive that binds it directly to that surface, so you can get that penetration over time. It doesn't wash away, or whether it be from saliva or mucus. It's able to bind and permeate through the skin. And what that means is you're able to get that absorption typically about 70 to 80%, compared to, let's say, if you take a capsule where it's like 10 to 20%.
Right.
So you're getting that payload, and and ultimately, that's how I would look at it, is like that little treasure chest.
And that's incredible. Now, you've also said, we've had some conversations about this too. We know, so peptides, they are basically strung together amino acids in
Mhm.
a very specific sequence. We also know that those sequences can run anywhere between, 2 or 3, all the way up to 50 or 60 or 70 sequences, some even longer. Now, is there a limit to nanoencapsulation as well with what you're doing?
So the answer is, technically there is a limit, and but that limit is pretty goes pretty far. So typically it's not a the encapsulation is not a one size fits all. It goes by the overall mole size or molecular mass of the product, of the active. So the bigger that chain is, the more of the encapsulation that you need. And it kind of creates like this web. If you look at it under a microscope, it's like this Charlotte's web of like, and basically creating this called it's a complex, okay, around the active. And if you look at it under a microscope, it kind of looks like this kind of polygram, like of a shell,
Okay.
okay. And inside that is that active. So regardless of how big, really, long it is, the encapsulation could work. Now, depending on, there's a lot of instances where they could be really big, like for example, like human growth hormone, right? There are other peptide adjacent products that don't really solubilize as well, and those might not be ideal for a liquid spray solution. But you were talking about a few percent. I would say about 95% of the peptides that are available in the marketplace today can utilize this technology.
That's incredible. That's a lot. We also know that there's over 7,000 different peptides that have been known or developed. None of them are human peptides. They come from other areas. But was there ever a moment where, like, you had earlier you shared your story of, like, man, I was going through this, I wanted to apply this to a different technology, like with peptides. Was there a moment where you almost were like, is this really going to work? What's kind of been your, I guess, your mode of understanding, like, okay, this stuff really does work? I mean, I know we have like anecdotal research, but which anecdotal can actually be quite persuasive, because when you have people that have utilized, say, a GLP-1 or something like BPC-157, which we have sitting right here as a sublingual spray, you know, that it was just like, oh, wow, okay, this is the thing.
Yeah. So when I first started when I started R&D with this, I had to, because obviously the peptides are very sensitive,
Yeah.
right? And when you're formulating them, and they're even much more sensitive.
Which, to go to that point, I mean, as a listener, if you don't understand, and then you're learning about therapeutic peptides, like once you reconstitute or you put water into that lyophilized product, like you never want to shake that vial because it'll break down the bonds of that peptide. That's why you also want to refrigerate it. Again, this technology Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
literally pulls up
So
quickly.
imagine this. In order to make these products, it's going to go through a high-speed vortex with a lot of agitation. So I'm having to
This is
really
science fiction here. You got a
yeah.
vortex
So
and a
so there are roughly over 20 steps to formulate this one spray. And each step, you having to basically conjoin these different pieces of the puzzle together, because if you just lump all the ingredients together and you put it in a blender, it's not going to work.
right.
So there was a point in it when I was seeing, things crash out of stability, would see particles fall and all this. So I was like, no, no, no. And then I'm having to, basically balance every aspect of from creating this product. Some ingredients in there, you have to have it be a very acidic, okay, in order for it to dissolve, but then it can't be too acidic for this other component to go in. Then you have to adjust pH, and all these components have to be done, and it's almost like a big puzzle. So once I was able to complete the puzzle, and then we started to use it, and then not even just that, let it sit for days, weeks, and it's still having the same exact efficacy. People felt it the same way, and then from there, uh, putting on a stress test, leaving it out in the heat. Because again, there are thermogenic stabilizers in there as well. So yeah, from thermogenic stability, prevents again oxidation, from oxidative stress. I mean, there are so many factors, and also a pH stability. There's almost like every way it could go wrong. You have to have something in there to come kind of counterbalance these things. So, and now it's a pretty buttoned up solution, and I'm able to now replicate that for just about any peptide there is.
That's incredible. Man, this is mind-blowing to me because it's even deeper. I mean, I get excited about new technologies and new applications. I get excited for the future of what's coming when it comes to peptide application, and it is just one of those incredible things, and I'm honored that you were able to come here today, and for those of you that are listening, I mean, this is just part one. We're actually gonna go into a deeper dive of really where does the future bring, because this is not just about today. I mean, there is so much more that this can offer to clinics, other organizations, for the the masses, to be able to utilize something that, in fact, with most biooptimization tools, sometimes it's too hard to understand the application. Again, a needle, backwater, you have to draw it out in the needle for this much. How much? What's the concentration? This takes the guessing game out
Mhm.
of peptide application in therapeutics. And the smaller doses over time, it's almost like little quantum leaps of change, is how I describe it. I think is phenomenal. So I'm just I'm excited because we've talked about really the science and the origin. And the next episode, we're going to be diving deeper really into what it means for real world application. It's going to be what's going on with clinics, how are they going to get them in, and really the future of peptide access. Because
Your reputation builds your practice. With Unify Reviews, automate review requests and respond effortlessly, turning every wellness experience into glowing 5-star ratings. Build trust, boost visibility, and grow your clinic's reputation with ease. Elevate your practice with Unify Reviews. Visit us at unify360.com.
I think that's really where this goes, man, is not just eliminating like that fear of needles and kind of getting that away, but the understanding that we can literally have like BPC in our pocket wherever we go. We can have these different products, right? PT141 and oxytocin and dihexa, these neuropeptides, and it's just so accessible. And Joseph, I'm so glad that you're here because this is something that people need to know about. That you need to know what's accessible, what you can utilize, what you can have. And it's I just it
Yeah, the
blows me.
potential it's, I mean, it creates this, endless potential, because now people are able to utilize this for prophylactic reasons, and, disease prevention, and as well as also recovery from illness or
Yeah.
trauma. and having the short-term benefits, but then with repeated use over time, get the long-term benefits
Yeah.
and creating those deep new pathways.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even the benefits of what peptide therapy can bring to people, but again, the limitations that it's had so far in the world today. I think of from military people out in the field that are out work. I mean, I don't want to call it limitless, but it is kind of limitless in what we've done. So I'm honored that you are here to share really this new technology, this new nano encapsulation and how this can be accessible to, well, to anybody. So
Yeah, and also speaking also the cost barrier as well.
yes, that's another big one because I mean the cost is great.
Yeah. So it's the thing is because now with these sprays able to make and produce in large format, we're able to bring down the costs for the masses, and also having less, compliance, regulations around it because injectables and the type of,
Hmm.
things that kind of come along with producing injectables and oversight. Not to say, there's tons of compliance and lab testing with this. It's just when you're able to do something at such a great volume and you're able to pass that savings along directly to the consumer or the patient.
And that's always been my vision. Anything that I've done when I was practicing and application, I want everybody to have access to something, especially when it comes to their healing, their restoration, their repair. And I know that's your heart as well.
Yeah.
Why I love having people on here. Plus, you got the best haircut in the world. I mean, it's incredible. But I know one thing that we need to do before we end this episode, man, we need to show them what this is like.
Sure.
We can
Let's
actually
go.
pull this up here. We've got this is one of your first ones, man, right? The Mito Magic.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
tell them what's in the Mito Magic.
So the Mito Magic here, and again, this is this is not the final end bottle. Okay, that'll
Yeah.
be coming soon. But basically, what this contains is NAD plus, SS31, and MOTS-C. And basically, what this is like the trinity of cellular optimization. Basically, fuels the mitochondria. Hence, Mito Magic or Mitrava. And basically, the idea is we're able to enhance the cell battery and be able to further process through this what we call this redox cycle. Okay, we're able to create more cells more efficiently, fuel those cells, and happen to actually amplify the reproduction of those cells.
Yeah.
So not just so we're able to produce better quality copies, stronger copies, and reproduce them faster, which in for life expectancy, longevity, and just overall support and resilience against pathogens, any other diseases, and potential genetic predisposed illnesses. We're potentially able to combat that much more significantly with this trinity all in one. And so instead of having to take three, like also NAD is painful when you inject it, you're able to have three in one. So, with a lot of these, ultimately, instead of having to take, some the biohackers are doing 20 plus injections at a time.
Yeah.
So with maybe a couple different sprays, you're able to achieve the same result without having all that scar tissue and, that comes along with it. So let's do a shot, shall we?
What is it? And I've got
So
the
so you
BPC.
go like this. Yeah, so
And I've got the
BPC.
BPC, which is, I mean, almost everybody knows what BPC is, um, but it's incredible. I mean, what probably the most popular peptide in the world, which is BPC.
Helps
Not
with
in-
gut health and also angiogenesis and creating, helping regenerate tissues and so forth. So let's
All right.
give this a whirl.
Let's do this.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. Here we go.
There you have it.
I feel like I'm healing already. This is great. You feel the energy? You feel that
Yeah,
energy?
you could feel it, just like for that little bit chi.
That's right. So we hold that under the tongue for how long? How long would I hold this under the tongue?
So you would hold in your tongue for 30 seconds to a minute. You don't want to drink anything for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
To let it kind of build there. And then you'll start to feel the effects within 10 minutes or so. And it's not like a caffeine energy. It's more like a sense of vitality. So what I could tell you with myself, Normally, it would take me about 2 cups of coffee in the morning to just kind of get myself going, and that would affect my blood pressure and and my stomach issues and acid reflux and all that. And literally, instead of that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try just this product. I had this literally right next to my nightstand on my bed, right? So nightstand, and did a couple of these in the morning, and I was good to go. I had no brain fog. I was just in the zone.
And that's what you want, because we all want that. We want that energy, that vitality. I mean, if we could do a couple sprays, you can do it throughout the day. If you just need that extra boost, but this is exciting. I cannot wait for the second episode that we're going to be doing here soon, when we're actually going to be again talking about the future of the adaptation of these products, diving even further into what they are, who they literally can be utilized for. It's like precision peptides in your pocket. That's a lot of P's all at once, but that's okay, because this is also the peptide pulse, where precision meets power and power meets possibility. And it is a possibility to be able to have something that is revolutionizing the world of the peptide industry when it comes to therapeutics. I'm Dr. Adam Boonder. I'm the peptide researcher, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one.